May carries a very different energy than April. Where April began to move things forward, to act, to initiate, to begin building something more tangible, May continues that movement, but it doesn't necessarily make it feel stable. There's more intensity here, more pressure, more happening at once, emotionally, mentally, and even beneath the surface. Things may be shifting more quickly or in ways that feel less predictable, like you're finding your footing while the ground is still adjusting beneath you. Welcome back to Libra Rising, where guidance from the stars meets reflections for the soul. As with last month, we'll be focusing on the larger themes shaping May rather than every individual transit. Because this month doesn't move in a straight line. It moves in waves, from intensity into grounding, into acceleration, into pressure, and eventually into perspective. Let's step into the main astrological themes shaping this month. Theme 1: Depth, Truth, and Emotional Power. The full moon in Scorpio on May 1st. May begins with a full moon in Scorpio, and in many ways, this sets the tone for everything that follows. Scorpio brings depth, emotional truth, and awareness of what exists beneath the surface. This isn't light reflection, it's clarity that asks to be felt. You may notice emotions rising more strongly, old patterns resurfacing, or something becoming visible that can no longer be avoided. This isn't about dramatic endings, it's about honesty, about seeing what's real without immediately trying to fix or control it. Because as the energy of May begins to move and intensify, what you see here may shape how you respond to everything that follows. This full moon asks, what truth am I ready to acknowledge, even if it changes how I move forward? Theme 2: Reclaiming Power from Within. Pluto stations retrograde in Aquarius on May 6th. As the month unfolds, the energy begins to shift inward. Pluto stations retrograde in Aquarius, bringing attention to power, control, and deeper transformation. This isn't always visible on the surface, but internally, something is recalibrating. Where have you been giving your power away? Where have you been trying to control outcomes that aren't yours to control? And what would it look like to move from a place of alignment instead? In Aquarius, this also connects to collective systems, technology, community, and the structures shaping the future. But on a personal level, this is about ownership. Not force, not control, but recognizing where your power already exists and choosing how to use it. This energy asks, what does real empowerment look like for me when it comes from within? Theme 3: Grounded intention and sustainable beginnings. The new moon in Taurus on May 16th. At the center of the month, we arrive at the new moon in Taurus. After the intensity of Scorpio and the internal shifts of Pluto, this brings us back into something more steady. Taurus is concerned with what can last, what can be built, what can be sustained over time. This new moon doesn't rush. It invites you to slow down enough to choose something real. Intentions here may feel quieter, but they carry weight. This is less about starting everything and more about choosing what's worth continuing. This energy asks, what is worth building, even if it takes time? Theme 4: Acceleration, Information, and Sudden Shifts. Gemini activation plus Uranian influence. As the month continues, the pace begins to pick up again. With Mercury and the Sun moving into Gemini, mental energy accelerates. There's more movement here, more ideas, more conversations, more input. At the same time, there's a strong current of unpredictability. Sudden insights, unexpected shifts, moments that change how you see something quickly. This can feel exciting, but it can also feel overwhelming. Not everything needs to be followed. Not every idea needs to become action. This energy asks, am I able to stay grounded in what's true, even as everything around me is moving quickly? Theme 5. Pressure, resistance, and intentional action. Mars square Pluto on May 25th. Toward the end of the month, we reach a point of tension. Mars forms a square to Pluto, bringing pressure, resistance, and intensity into focus. This can feel like pushing forward and meeting resistance, or feeling driven to act without a clear path forward. Mars in Taurus wants steady movement. Pluto brings deeper forces into play. Together, this can create friction. But not all resistance is meant to be overcome through force. Some of it is meant to be understood or redirected. This energy asks, where am I pushing too hard? And what would it look like to move with intention instead? Theme 6. Perspective and meaning. Full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st. May closes with a full moon in Sagittarius. After a month of intensity, movement, and pressure, this brings a shift in perspective. Sagittarius looks for meaning, for truth beyond the immediate moment. Something may begin to make more sense. A situation may feel clearer when seen from a distance. Not everything is resolved, but something is understood differently. This energy asks, what truth feels bigger than this moment? And how does it change the way I see things? Taken together, May moves in a series of waves. It begins with emotional depth, bringing awareness to what's real beneath the surface. It shifts into internal transformation, redefining power and control. It grounds into intention, asking what's truly worth building. It accelerates, bringing movement, ideas, and change. It builds into tension, where action and resistance must be navigated carefully. And finally, it opens into perspective. May doesn't ask for everything to feel stable, but it does ask for awareness, for adaptability, and for the ability to stay connected to yourself, even as things continue to shift. As we move into the tarot portion of this reading, we'll explore how these themes may be experienced on a more personal level, especially if you're navigating both intensity and the desire for something steady to hold on to. Let's begin with the collective spread for May. This reading looks at how May may be moving through us on different levels, through the mind and ego, the heart and emotional body, the soul and intuitive space, and finally, through the body and instinct. As always, these cards aren't predictions about what will happen. They offer insight into how this month may want to be experienced, where there may be support, where there may be tension, and where something is asking for awareness. And this month, there's a clear contrast in the spread between possibility and clarity, between intensity and steadiness, between wanting to move and not quite feeling ready. For the collective tarot this month, I pulled a 4-card elemental spread, looking at how May move through us on different levels. Fire, representing mind and ego. Water, representing emotion and spirit. Air, representing soul and intuition. And earth, representing the body and instinct. There's a noticeable theme here of discernment. Not everything that appears is meant to be followed. Not everything that feels urgent is meant to be acted on. This feels like a month of learning what's real and what isn't. In the fire position, the realm of mind, identity, and ego, we have the Seven of Cups. This is a card of options, possibilities, but also illusion. In a month where so much is shifting, mentally, emotionally, even collectively, this can feel like overwhelm. Too many directions, too many ideas, too many what-ifs. Not all of them are real. Not all of them are meant for you. This can show up as distraction, indecision, or even chasing something that looks promising but doesn't hold substance. The mind may want clarity, but instead, it's being asked for discernment. Not everything needs to be chosen. Some things just need to be seen and released. In the air position, the realm of soul and intuitive awareness, we have the World. And this is a powerful counterbalance to the Seven of Cups. Where the mind sees too many options, the soul already knows what's complete. The World speaks to closure, integration, a cycle reaching its natural end. There may be something in your life that is already done, even if your mind is still trying to process it. Something you've outgrown, something that no longer requires effort, something that's ready to be acknowledged and released. This card brings clarity, but not through thinking, through knowing. The kind of knowing that doesn't need explanation. The soul isn't confused this month. It's the mind that's catching up. In the water position, emotion and the heart, we have strength. And this feels deeply aligned with the intensity of May. Strength isn't force, it isn't control, it isn't pushing through, it's presence. It's the ability to stay with what you're feeling without being overwhelmed by it. With the Scorpio Full Moon, with Pluto's influence, with the tension building later in the month, this card is a reminder that emotional resilience doesn't come from avoiding intensity. It comes from meeting it without losing yourself inside it. There may be strong emotions this month: frustration, desire, fear, even anger. Strength doesn't suppress those, it holds them. This is quiet power, not reaction, but response. In the Earth position, the body and instinct, we have the Page of Wands reversed. This is where things feel not quite ready. The desire to begin is there, the spark is there, but something about the follow-through feels uncertain. This can show up as hesitation, false starts, starting something then losing momentum, or feeling inspired but not grounded enough to act on it. And honestly, this makes sense. With everything happening this month, the intensity, the shifts, the mental movement, the body may need more time to integrate. Not every spark is meant to become action immediately. Some ideas need space before they become direction. This isn't failure, it's timing. The instinct isn't saying no, it's saying not yet. Taken together, this spread speaks to a very specific experience. The mind sees endless possibilities, but not all of them are real. The soul already knows what's complete, even if you haven't fully let it go yet. The heart is being asked to stay steady in the face of intensity, and the body is still catching up to everything that's shifting. This isn't a month of clear, linear movement. It's a month of refinement, of filtering, of choosing what's real and allowing the rest to fall away. You don't need to act on everything you feel. You don't need to chase every idea that appears. What's aligned will remain. What's not will fade. Before moving into the 12 signs of the one-card zodiac reading, just a quick reminder. These messages aren't predictions. They're points of awareness, reflections of how this energy may show up for you. You're welcome to listen for your sun, moon, or rising signs, or move through all 12 if that feels supportive. Let's begin. Scorpio. This month places you in a position of leadership. The King of Wands is confident, visionary, and decisive. But he doesn't act impulsively. There's a sense here of knowing what you want and being willing to stand in it. The question becomes, are you leading your life intentionally or reacting to what's around you? Sagittarius. The Chariot reversed suggests a loss of direction or a feeling of being pulled in too many directions at once. Momentum may feel inconsistent. This isn't about forcing forward movement. It's about realigning. Where are you trying to move forward without a clear sense of direction? Capricorn. You may be sitting with a decision. The Two of Swords often points to avoidance or waiting for clarity that isn't coming externally. At some point, the choice has to be made internally. Not perfectly, but honestly. Aquarius. The Ten of Cups brings a sense of emotional fulfillment. There's alignment here, connection, a sense that something is right. This may not be loud or dramatic, but it's real. Let yourself recognize it. Pisces. Justice reversed suggests something feeling slightly off. This could be internal, or something in your external world that doesn't feel balanced. Rather than rushing to fix it, start by noticing it. Awareness comes first. Correction comes later. Aries. The Emperor reversed can point to issues around control, either holding too tightly or feeling like you've lost your footing. This month may ask you to redefine what leadership looks like. Not control, but grounded authority. Taurus. The Four of Cups suggests disengagement. Something may be available to you, but it's not landing. This isn't necessarily a missed opportunity. It may simply not be aligned. Give yourself space to feel that honestly. Gemini. This card speaks to release. Letting go of something you've been holding on to, whether that's control, security, or a fixed way of thinking. There's freedom here, but it requires openness. Cancer. The Six of Wands reversed can point to self-doubt or feeling unseen or unrecognized. This month may ask you to validate yourself rather than waiting for external acknowledgement. Leo. Things move quickly for you this month. The Eight of Wands brings momentum, communication, and forward movement. This can feel exciting, but it may also feel fast. Stay grounded as things accelerate. Virgo. The Page of Cups brings softness, new emotional awareness, creative openness, a willingness to feel something differently. This is gentle energy, but meaningful. Libra. The Fool reversed suggests hesitation around a new beginning. There may be a desire to move forward, but also fear of the unknown. This month isn't asking you to leap blindly, but it is asking you to be honest about what's holding you back. As always, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. These messages aren't fixed outcomes, they're reflections. ways of noticing what may be asking for your attention as May unfolds. And as we move through this month, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to rush clarity just to keep up with the movement around you. May carries a lot of movement, emotionally, mentally, and even energetically. And sometimes, rather than trying to figure it all out, it can be more supportive to pause and simply notice what's already unfolding within you. If it feels helpful, you might take a moment to sit with a few reflection questions. First, where in my life am I searching for clarity when what I may need is trust? Next, what feels complete or ready to be released, even if I haven't fully let go yet? And lastly, what would it look like to stay with myself even when things feel uncertain, intense, or in motion? These aren't questions that need immediate answers. They're simply invitations to notice what's shifting, what's settling, and what may be asking for a different kind of attention. And for me, personally, this is something I've been feeling in a very real way as May approaches. Not as a concept, but as an experience. So before we move into the mantra and closing, I want to share a brief reflection. Not from the cards, but from lived experience. From the perspective of a highly sensitive soul, learning how to stay steady in the middle of so much movement. This month, I've been noticing something in myself. A tendency to search for clarity, to want things to feel certain, resolved, complete. Especially after finishing a long-term project, there's this pull to move on quickly, to wrap up the next thing, to get to the point where everything feels done. But what I'm starting to recognize is that this urgency doesn't always come from alignment. Sometimes it comes from something older, a pattern that learned very early on that being safe meant performing, meeting expectations, hitting deadlines, getting things right. And when that didn't happen, there were consequences. So slowing down didn't feel neutral, it felt unsafe. Making mistakes didn't feel like part of the process, it felt like failure. And even now, in a completely different environment, I can feel that pattern trying to take over. Like there's still a part of me holding a whip, trying to force myself forward, trying to push through, trying to make things happen faster. But what I'm also starting to see is what that actually costs me now. Because I'm not in that same place anymore. Pushing harder doesn't lead to progress the way it used to. It leads to burnout, to overwhelm, to a nervous system that eventually just shuts down. Overtraining doesn't feel like discipline anymore. It feels like depletion. Undernourishment doesn't feel like control. It feels like my body pushing back. And trying to force myself through those signals doesn't create momentum. It creates resistance. And what I'm beginning to understand, slowly, is that this resistance isn't failure, it's protection. My body isn't working against me. My nervous system isn't broken. They're responding. They're setting boundaries that I didn't know how to set for myself before. And staying with myself this month is starting to look very different. It's not pushing harder. It's not trying to sprint to the finish. It's choosing steadiness, showing up for the small, consistent things, the daily habits that keep me grounded, regulated, and supported. Letting projects take time instead of forcing them to be done. Listening when my body needs rest. Responding when my emotions need space. And recognizing that self-care isn't something that takes me away from progress. It's what allows me to sustain it. So this month, I'm holding on to one word: steadiness. Not urgency, not pressure, not forcing, but steady, intentional movement. And learning how to trust that this way of moving, even if it feels slower, is actually what allows me to move forward at all. As we come to the close of this month's forecast, I'd like to leave you with a mantra. Carry it with you through the month if it feels supportive and aligned. I release fear that I need to force clarity or control the outcome, and hold faith that I can move forward with steadiness and trust. Take a breath with that. Let it settle where it needs to. May doesn't ask you to have everything figured out. It doesn't ask you to move perfectly or quickly or all at once. It asks something quieter, but ultimately more sustainable. To stay with yourself as things continue to shift. If you find yourself moving through moments of uncertainty, intensity, or even resistance, you're not doing it wrong. You're responding to a month that is asking for awareness instead of control. Growth doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like slowing down, recalibrating, choosing steadiness over urgency, and learning how to trust yourself in the process. If this reading resonated with you, feel free to share which message or card stood out most in the comments. I always appreciate hearing how these themes are landing for you. And before we close, as always, may you trust the pace that truly supports you, even if it looks different than what you expected. May you honor what your body, your emotions, and your intuition are asking for, even when it challenges old patterns. And may you move through this month with a steadiness that is grounded, intentional, and your own. Thank you for being here and for moving through this season of change with such presence. I'll see you in June.